Good morning or afternoon or evening, friends, whenever you're watching this, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a nice and cozy and gentle 2024 reset video. I made a list a few days ago of a bunch of things that I wanted to do at the beginning of this year that really felt like they would aid me in this transition to moving from 2023 to 2024. I'll put the list somewhere on the screen so you can see. Some of them are things that I need to just do to feel like a weight off or a clean start. Like the message that you see at the top of the list is something that is just a message that I really need to respond to, that's just been on my mind, that I've been putting off. So I need to do that. I also really need to put all of my appointments for the next few months into my Google Calendar, because I'm so aware that I have appointments and things that I need to attend that aren't in my Google Calendar, and I know that if they're not in there then I will miss them or forget about them. So that's something a bit more admin-y that needs to be done for me to have like a clean slate, peace of mind. Then in the middle of the list where you see ND friendly DBT skills pages, those are a few pages from Sonny and Wise's Neurodivergent friendly workbook of DBT skills that my autistic coach sent me, that are, I think, mostly about emotional regulation for neurodivergent folks. So I want to do those. Also, where you see schedule/weekly activities, I'm going to be trying a new, very loose form of scheduling myself. As a neurodivergent person, especially as a person who is a combination of autistic but also ADHD, I have tried so many different ways to schedule myself, because my autistic self needs routine and structure and finds safety and security in that knowledge of what's going to happen, but my ADHD self finds safety and security in flexibility and in freedom of being able to do what I feel like in that moment I want to do, or gets turned off by the feeling of pressure and constriction of a schedule. So those two sides of myself are very dichotomous and have made it very difficult for me in the past to create plans and schedules and timetables to be actually able to follow through with them. So I'm going to try this new system of planning and scheduling myself, where I create weekly intentions so that I'm not scheduled day to day, I'm more so scheduled week to week. So I have that daily flexibility of, these are my weekly goals and what do I feel capable energetically, mentally, in my nervous system of being able to do today out of these things. So it's like I still have the flexibility of being able to choose day to day, which is what my ADHD self really needs. But then I'd still like to create like a morning routine of the things that I'd like to do on a daily basis in the mornings that my autistic self will really thrive within, and that I think will kind of set me up for the day. So that's my plan with that. And then I really want to do the year compass. Now, if you haven't heard of the year compass, I'll link it down below, because it is a free resource that I've seen multiple people recommending in the last week or so, and from what I'm aware of, it's basically a PDF of journaling questions and questions to reflect on the past year and questions to then transition into the next year. And they come out every single year and it's free. You can download it onto a device or you can download it to print it out. I've downloaded it onto my iPad, so I think I'm going to fill it in this way. And yeah, that's the last thing I'm going to do because it's going to take the longest. So I'm going to get the shorter activities done first. So if you haven't already, please feel free to pause this video and make yourself a heartwarming cup of coffee or tea, and let's get into a 2024 reset. Cheers. Oh, that's nice. I've made myself a dirty chai, which I don't usually make homemade. If you're not aware, a dirty chai is a chai tea or a chai latte with coffee in it too. So I've tried to make one for myself by making it up as I went along. So I used a chai tea bag and made coffee. It's actually better than I was expecting. This is something that I order quite often if I'm in a coffee shop. I actually really like it. Okay, let's do it. This is gonna be a really gentle way of resetting for 2024. I know for a lot of people, the new year can bring a lot of anxiety and feelings of pressure, and that definitely is the case for me, especially this year. So this is really going to be just small and gentle things that will help me transition, because transitions are hard. Oh, and you'll see at the top of the list as well, unpack was the first thing, because I just got back from being away 2 days ago. So I unpacked yesterday already. So let's get on to the first thing and let's get this message written and sent. I'm actually just gonna put my little water light thing on, just autistic sensory things. Sometimes as an autistic person, expressing myself through words and actually saying what I mean to say and finding the right words to express that, and at the same time weighing up the societal expectations of saying everything in a polite way. It's just really challenging for me sometimes, all that stuff. So I'm still sat here trying to write this really relatively short message like 15-20 minutes later. And this is why I wanted to do this one first today, because I want to get it out of the way. We can do this.
A few moments later.
I did it, finally. Okay, so now that that's done and it's ticked off the list, the next thing to do is to get all of my appointments into my Google Calendar so I can see what's going on for the next few months. So I'm gonna do that, but because it took me so long to write that message, my coffee is now not hot enough for me, so I'm gonna go and microwave this and then get on to the next task. So instead of microwaving my coffee, I ended up actually microwaving leftover noodle soup. So I'm gonna have that while I do the next task. So let's organise my Google Calendar. Okay, so I've just finished getting all my appointments into my Google Calendar. There was actually less that needed to go in than I thought. I always build up in my mind, like when I don't write things down or when I don't have things physically in front of me, how much there actually is. It's almost like it expands in my mind until it's in front of me. So it was really helpful to do that. Next thing is the pages that I'm gonna do from the neurodivergent friendly workbook of DBT skills. I think I'm actually gonna do that in my notebook rather than on a screen. So let's get to it. Hey friends, so I've just finished those few pages of that workbook that I wanted to do, which is great. It was really helpful actually. Most of the pages that I was going through, there were only a few of them, but they were about emotional regulation, sensory self-soothing, and distress tolerance, which are things that I sometimes have difficulty with. I definitely experience, as an autistic person, being really overwhelmed by my emotions sometimes, and in those moments of intensity and overwhelm, not really knowing what to do with myself to help myself in that moment. Not necessarily to make myself feel better, because I have a pattern of dismissing my emotions and kind of trying to logic my way into thinking and feeling better, which isn't helpful in the long run because you're supposed to feel your emotions. So now I'm in a process of figuring out what my autistic self needs in those really intense times. And so I just wanted to quickly share with you what I filled in for one of the exercises. So it kind of prompted you in this workbook to think about what you can give yourself and how you can serve yourself in that time where you're experiencing a high level of emotion, and that means you can't actually think of things at the time to do. So I thought I'd share my list with you. So it prompts you to name a feeling or an emotion, like when I'm anxious, I will blah 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 blah, list of things, or when I'm angry. So my thing was, when I'm feeling sad slash overwhelmed slash upset, I could journal about it, let myself cry for as long as I need, which I usually try to cut myself off from, or try to make myself feel better sooner than I actually do. Call a friend or a person who supports me. Watch a comfort show. Watch my pep talks YouTube playlist. Now, this isn't a public playlist and I don't know if I actually will make it public or not, but I just have a playlist on YouTube on my account of videos that I've saved that kind of are pep talks to me. They might not be pep talks to other people, but the ways that those things resonate for me and the ways that those people talk about their life or things that they're dealing with or advice and tips or whatever it might be has resonated for me, and so I've saved it to this pep talks playlist. Create a cozy sensory space. This one is massive for me. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, I really have to curate my sensory experience. Don't try to logic my way out of how I feel. A splash of cold water on my face. Use a weighted blanket. Those last two things, really interestingly, are both nervous system regulation things that I just, in that moment of emotion, would never think to do. I would never think to go to the bathroom and splash water on my face when I'm feeling overwhelmed and when I'm feeling these emotions and stuff. But I already know, just thinking about it, that that will really help me. So it's been a really interesting exercise to fill in these things. There was also a really good one about sensory self-soothing, where it lists the different senses and then you can fill in the different things that you can do to cater to each individual sense to be able to soothe your sensory experience. So that was really cool. Okay, let's tick that off because it's done. Yay! So now the penultimate thing is that I wanted to make a schedule / weekly intentions for myself. I'm gonna be very loosely doing this. It's going to be more like ideas and intentions rather than schedules and plans, because I know that schedules and plans in that way just doesn't work for me. So it's going to be an experiment. Let's see what we come up with. So I finally reheated my coffee from a couple of hours ago and it's still scrumptious. So I'm just going to start creating a kind of daily structure so that my autistic self is appeased and can feel comfortable in the knowledge of like a daily routine happening. The only thing is that I don't want to expect myself to be able to jump into like this ideal daily thing straight away. So I know the habits that I have of being on my phone when I wake up in the morning, or, which I want to do even less, watching an episode of something when I wake up in the morning before I start my day. I just don't want to begin my day that way. I think that if I want to consume some content before I get out of bed, I want to be reading. And also, as an autistic person, knowing how transitions affect me, that's another reason why I don't want to make this daily structure be too different from what I already know that I do. I just want to make some changes in a positive direction. So let's get going. Hey friends, so I'm pretty happy with where I'm at with this daily structure and then weekly intentions. idea. I've created a couple of morning things to kind of guide myself into the day, and I've created like a low energy version of that and an okay energy version of that because I'm never a high energy person, so I couldn't name it that. Some of these things include reading when I wake up instead of going on my phone, getting dressed and having breakfast, and instead of mindlessly consuming things while I have breakfast, watching something in Spanish, because one of my intentions for this new year is to have intentional energy put into improving my Spanish. So I'm going to do that while I have breakfast. Then I'm going to potentially spend an hour on actual Spanish study, and then another option for my morning is to go on a nature walk with the dog, because I think that will be a lovely way to start my days, and I oftentimes don't end up taking the dog out for a walk until like 3 p.m. or later. It's something that I usually use as like a break from my desk type of activity, but I wondered about experimenting with starting my day with it, so that's another one on my potential morning routines list. Then I have my weekly intentions list, and this is split up into 2 categories. The first one is desk activities, and the next one is break activities. And I use break in kind of a loose term. It's more like activities away from my desk. And I've categorized my desk activities into Spanish, which I'm choosing to intend 1 hour a day for. And then there's 3 things that I've chosen to allocate 3 times per week. And those things are life growth things is what I've called them. But basically it's just like life admin stuff, but I wanted to call it something nicer. Then the next one is writing. I'm intending to write more this year. If you've watched my last video, you know that I've brought a few books back with me that are focused around the craft of writing. If you're interested in reading anything of mine, I do have a Substack. It is always linked down below in my videos, so go check that out. And the last thing for my 3 times a week list is YouTube, either filming or editing. Then there's one thing that is 2 times a week for me, and that is drawing or painting, either digital or physical. Another one of my intentions for the new year, along with writing and Spanish, is to put more intention into physical art making and digital art making. I'm so grateful to have received a refurbished iPad for Christmas, which is so great. And I've been experimenting a lot, as you can see by my intro, with Procreate, and I'm enjoying it so much. It's such a fun way to create. There's so much more immediacy to it than there is with physical art making, because you can change brushes immediately and you can change colours immediately. You don't have to mix paints. Yeah, it's very satisfying in its immediacy, which is really cool. Anyway, I'm on a tangent. Then we have my away from the desk activities, and I want to choose to do one of these at least once a day, if not more of them, but that's just my bare minimum. So the first one is intentional rest, and I think when I write this, what I mean is literally just laying down on the couch or laying down in my bed and just having a break. I'm often quite hyper focused and my brain leads me down a bit of tunnel vision in the activities that I'm doing, and I forget to step away. So physical rest is a big one for me, and I definitely need it, probably more than I let myself accept. The next one is a walk in nature. The next one is a home workout. I really want to prioritise bringing some strength back into my body this year. During autistic burnout, I've been in burnout since October of 2023, and during that time I needed so much rest that my body feels weaker because I haven't been moving it as much. And the fourth one is reading. Reading is super important for me. It's a special interest. It's one of my most joyful hobbies. And so obviously I had to make it onto this list. So where I'm going with this is that basically every single day I can have the knowledge that I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna read a little bit, I'm going to do Spanish for an hour, and then I'm going to begin the rest of my day. And the rest of my day is going to involve me choosing things from these 2 lists, where I can choose some desk activities and I can choose some away from the desk activities, so that I have the knowledge that my day is going to be a bit balanced. My camera's going to die, so I'll talk to you in a bit, but that's the end of this exercise. Let's move on to the year compass.
Day 2.
Hello friends, good afternoon. It is actually now the next day. After my camera died yesterday, I ended up realising that I had a headache, and so I didn't carry on and do the year compass yesterday. But now I am ready, I am feeling better than I was yesterday evening, and we're gonna get going on the year compass. I'm quite excited and intrigued. I've never done the year compass before, and I hope it will make me feel grateful and positive about the year just gone, and hopeful and optimistic about the year to come. So we shall see. I wanted to add as well that I don't really agree with the whole story around New Year, that we need to jump back into things in January and have this really productive, really transformative time. I think when you think about the fact that we're still in the depths of winter and will be for another 2 months, it doesn't make sense to me, at least, for that more dynamic, more productive period of time to be this time of year. It makes so much sense for me for it to be spring, that sort of energy comes back in, because it's still grey and cold and rainy and we're still in hibernation mode as humans. The days are still short, blah 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 blah. So for me, this reset is more so about reflecting on last year and closing that down, to then be able to come into 2024 feeling like it's a little bit of a fresh start feeling. I feel like I know what my intentions are. I don't even really want to call them goals at the moment, because they aren't things that I'm going to be achieving in the near future. It's more intentional than that. It's still slow for me, it's still very gentle, and it's more seasonal rather than the new year being this go 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 type of energy. So yeah, I just wanted to speak on that a little bit to clarify the intentions of this video and where my head is at with resetting for 2024. So as we move into the next chapter of the video, please feel free to go and grab yourselves a cuppa. I have exactly the same drink as I had yesterday. Let's get going with the year compass. As I was saying earlier in the video, I got my iPad for Christmas, which I'm so grateful for. It's been a game changer for me as a creative already, but I don't have a case or a stand for it yet. I'm waiting for it to arrive. Actually, I think it will come today, but at the moment I'm using this music stand that I've had since I was probably about 15, just to give myself some gradient, I suppose, so that I'm not slouching over my iPad on the desk, just in case you're wondering what the heck that is. So one of the first exercises is to go through your calendar from last year and write in this big box any important events, family gatherings, friendly get-togethers or significant projects. And I've ended up going through my calendar and I'm finding myself not enjoying it or feeling a bit down, because it's been a tough year and I'm going back on things that have been difficult. And now as I reread the activity, I think it was supposed to be done with more like focus on the nice things, but I've just focused on significant things. So maybe as I do the rest of the year, I'll have more of a focus on the things that have been good. Wow, like even though doing that exercise didn't make me feel the greatest about last year, just looking at that many things makes me realise how much I've had to deal with in the last year, and kind of puts into perspective, wow, like the beginning of last year feels like 3 years ago, because that much has happened. And it kind of makes me feel like more compassion for my past self and for my current self, really. Anyway, let's get on with the rest of the exercises, because this is only page 1. So funnily enough, How good is this timing? My case and keyboard for my iPad just arrived. We're going to unbox and, well, how are you supposed to? Oh, you can push it from behind. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna figure this out and then carry on.
More moments later.
I'm pretty happy with how it looks considering it's not an official one and I just got it off Amazon. I've just plugged in the keyboard, so I'm not gonna spend any time figuring out how that works. I'm just gonna carry on with the year compass. So I have just finished part 1 of the year compass. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't think about it, but it just made me feel so deeply about 2023 and about everything that I went through in 2023, which was really a lot. It was a really significant year for me in terms of the story of my life and what I've been through and have been going through, and there were significant lows but also significant highs. And going through that and completing this first part of the year compass has just made me feel, honestly, so proud of myself. I feel so proud of the highs, but I also feel proud of the lows because I feel like I've learnt so much. But not only have I learnt so much, I've also learnt that I can get through that stuff, and that, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go get a drink, I'm gonna take a breather, and then we're gonna start the 2024 section. Okay friends, so I made myself a drink, which I've almost drunk already. I had a protein bar, which I really needed. I needed a snack after going through all that 2023 stuff. Now that I'm onto the 2024 questions, I'm having so much fun. I got really carried away with like colours and doodles and things. Oh my gosh, I'm having loads of fun now. It's so fulfilling to just let yourself forget about anything that you're dealing with and just dream about what the possibilities of this year could be, and just ignore any limitations that are in your mind, and also just ignore like logistical limitations that you think are like things that are in the way of how things could possibly happen for you. Just to dream, like literally just dream without thinking about logistics. It's so much fun. I'm finding that actually it was really valuable for me to not only do this 2024 section, but for me to have done the 2023 section just before this, and to be able to appreciate, like, it sounds really cheesy, but the journey that I'm on and like the evolution of, I've just scratched my neck and now it's really red, the evolution of like what the next steps could potentially be, and to appreciate what's come before for me to get to where I am now. I feel like even though I didn't enjoy the 2023 section as much, it feels necessary. There's totally a part of myself that didn't want to go back and look at all that stuff, but I can see it now with a different type of appreciation, which is cool. So yeah, I'm going to carry on with this page. I'm on page 15, which asks you about different kinds of topics and what those things will be about for you this year. So it asks you about personal life and family, career and studies, friends and community, and I'm just kind of trying to look at it in a really optimistic and hopeful type of way, and not with pressure on those things, like not seeing them as goals, but seeing it as an opportunity for me to bring to the forefront of my mind what are the things that are valuable to me within each of those sections, and then I can like create intentions accordingly. So for example, one of my intentions for personal life and family is to create more friendships, and because of the fact that now I know that I've written that down as something that I want, I can create the intention to put time and energy into that this year. So it's cool to kind of uncover these things that I hadn't actually thought much about, but that now I've discovered are actually important to me. Yeah, let's carry on. So friends, I just finished completing my year compass. I'm so glad I did it. I feel so much more appreciation for 2023 and so much more clarity and optimism and intention around 2024. So I really recommend going ahead and doing that if you feel pulled. I'll leave the link below. I feel very refreshed by that. I actually uncovered more than I realised I would about what I'm valuing and what I'm needing this coming year, which is just so cool for this resource to be free and for the questions to be so intentional as to pull this information out of you. It's really cool. Anyway, that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. Please let me know down below what your intentions for 2024 are, or if you have a word for 2024, because I know some people do and it is one of the questions that they ask in the Year Compass. My word is ground. I'm feeling like I really need more grounding this year. So if you have a word for this year, please let me know down below. I would love to hear, or any of your intentions for 2024. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!